All right, get ready because we're going deep today, like deep, deep into your family history. You gave us quite the document. I mean, it's incredible, this family tree you've got here.
Yeah.
Centuries and continents.
Yep.
And most of it in England, which is, well, that's where we'll focus today. But there are these branches into Germany, too, which we'll definitely get to those later. There's even a few, well, shall we say, mysterious figures in here. Adds a little spice to the whole thing.
Oh, family trees are full of surprises. You never know what you'll find. And that's what makes them so fascinating, right? We're not just going to run down a list of names and dates, though. We're going to try to imagine what it was really like to be these people, to live in their times, to face their challenges.
It's like stepping into a historical novel. But instead of fictional characters, these are your actual ancestors. We'll uncover the major events they lived through, what they did for work, the problems they faced, the whole shebang. So, to kick things off, let's go all the way back to the earliest ancestor listed. Edward Jones, born in England in 1621.
1621, that's a heck of a time to be alive in England. Think about it, the English Civil War is raging. The whole country is in turmoil, social and political upheaval everywhere.
Kind of like living through a revolution, huh? That's got to be stressful, especially raising a family. And speaking of family, the document says Edward's parents died pretty young, most likely from disease, which...
Yeah, sadly, that was all too common back then. Medical knowledge wasn't what it is today. Smallpox, plague, all sorts of things going around.
You just had to live with the constant fear of, well, losing people you love to something you didn't even understand. Makes you appreciate modern medicine, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So much we take for granted now. Anyway, let's move along to Edward's son, William, born in 1671. His life plays out during the Restoration period, a time of, well, they called it an intellectual and cultural revival.
Intellectual revival. Sounds kind of stuffy. What did that actually mean for a guy like William?
Good point. Well, after years of war and Puritan rule, England was experiencing this burst of new ideas, New interest in science, philosophy, the arts. They even had coffee houses popping up all over, just buzzing with debate and discussion.
So William might have been sitting there sipping coffee, debating philosophy. Not exactly what I pictured for 17th century England.
Maybe, maybe not. We don't know for sure. But these new ideas, they were transforming English society.
Okay, starting to get a sense of William's world now. But get this, I found something else, and this is pretty wild. The document mentions witchcraft trials happening near William's hometown. Can you imagine? The fear, the paranoia.
Oh yeah, that was a dark side of the times. We might find it strange now, but back then, belief in witchcraft was very real. Very powerful.
Adds a little mystery to the family history, wouldn't you say? Okay, let's jump ahead a bit now. Looks like the Jones line stayed put in Wiltshire for a few generations.
Ah, Wiltshire. Picture this. Rolling hills, farm fields as far as you can see, tight-knit communities, everyone knows everyone.
Sounds idyllic in a way.
It had its charms, but it was hard work too. For the Joneses, it was most likely an agricultural life. Planting, tending, harvesting, the cycle of the seasons.
A far cry from our busy, technology-filled lives.
Oh, absolutely. A much slower pace of life back then. But even in this seemingly unchanging world, there were still changes happening. For instance, William Jones, born in 1694. He married Elizabeth Hand, who was from Buckinghamshire.
So they were venturing out a bit, not always staying in the same village.
Exactly. And you see more of that as we go through the generations. Families spreading their wings geographically, sometimes for marriage, sometimes for opportunity.
It's amazing how much mobility there was, even back then. And it looks like that mobility really picks up steam. As we get to the later Joneses, they start migrating to London.
Ah, London. That's a huge shift. But it reflects a much bigger trend, This is the age of the Industrial Revolution. London is booming, new industries, factories everywhere.
The city lights beckoning, just like for so many others.
Exactly. The promise of jobs, opportunities, things you just couldn't find in the countryside.
And it seems like they found their footing in this new world. Look at their occupations changing. From farm laborers to coachmen, brewers, even a master furrier. Can you believe that?
A master furrier. That's someone who's doing well for themselves. Maybe even a touch of luxury in what was often a harsh world.
It's easy to romanticize the past, but we have to remember London had its dark side too.
Oh, absolutely. Overcrowding, poverty, disease, crime. It was a city of extremes.
Progress doesn't always benefit everyone equally.
That's a good point. Think about it, those shiny new motor cars replacing horse-drawn carriages. It must have been fascinating, but also unsettling. For someone like Edwin Jones, born in 1859, who saw it all happen.
I wonder what he thought about those noisy, smelly contraptions, taking over from the horses he probably worked with.
Did he embrace the change or miss the simpler times? We can only guess.
Makes you think about how we experience technological change today, too. What will future generations think about our time? Anyway, speaking of big changes, we can't overlook the impact of World War I on Edwin Frank Jones, born in 1885.
The Great War, it cast a long shadow over an entire generation, and the Jones family was no exception. The document says Edwin served in the Essex Cyclists Regiment.
Hold on, fighting a war on bicycles, that's incredible.
They were actually a vital part of the war effort. And tragically, Edwin was exposed to gas warfare, something that affected his health for the rest of his life.
A stark reminder of the lasting consequences of war, not just for those who fight, but for their families, too. It's heavy stuff. But before we move on to the next branch of your family, I'm curious, what stands out to you so far about the Joneses?
You know, what strikes me is their adaptability. They faced disease, war, industrial upheaval, but they kept going. They found ways to make a life for themselves. It's really a testament to the human spirit.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so we've explored the Jones line, mainly in England. Now get ready for a trip across the North Sea. We're going to uncover the story of your German ancestors, the Worms family. This is where we see the challenges faced by Jewish communities in Europe really come to the forefront.
Life of Jewish people during this period was often marked by, well, frankly, by persecution. Restrictive policies, confinement to ghettos. It was a difficult time.
It's a reminder that discrimination and hardship, sadly, they're not just things of the past. They continue to affect people in many parts of the world.
You're right, it's an important point. And the document mentions these devastating fires that ravaged Frankfurt's Jewish quarter, a recurring threat, adding to the already difficult circumstances.
I can't imagine the fear and uncertainty they must have felt. Makes you wonder if these hardships were part of the reason they eventually left Germany. The document mentions the family moving to London in the late 18th century. Maybe they were looking for a better life, a safer place.
It's a common story, the search for a brighter future, a theme that runs through so much of history, really. And speaking of interesting details, we can't overlook the mention of Henry Worms, born in 1768. Seems he had a criminal record.
Ooh, a little mystery. What did he do? Was he a notorious criminal or just caught in a bad situation?
It's definitely something you could dig into further. Court records from that time might shed some light on it.
Okay, adding that to my research list. So, before we delve into the last branch of your family, let's take a step back. What does this part of your family history tell us about the broader historical context?
Well, I think it speaks volumes about migration, about the forces that drive people to leave their homes. Sometimes it's the pull of opportunity, the hope for a better life. Sometimes it's the push of hardship, persecution, even just a desire for change. But it also underscores the resilience of the human spirit, the will to survive and thrive, even in the face of adversity.
Powerful stuff. It's easy to get lost in the names and dates. But behind every entry in your family tree is a real person, a complex story, a thread in the tapestry of history. And speaking of stories, let's turn our attention to the Holford line, a family with deep roots in Hampshire, England. Their tale offers a glimpse into a world that, well, it feels almost lost to time now, a world of rural traditions and enduring family ties. Get ready to be transported back to the English countryside.
The Holfords, they really offer us a window into a way of life that was changing so rapidly in 19th century England. You had all this movement towards the cities, the factories, but the Holfords, they stayed rooted in the countryside, their lives tied to the land, to the traditions of their ancestors.
It's amazing how different branches of a family can have such different paths, especially during a time of such upheaval like the Industrial Revolution. So, what was daily life like for the Holfords? Give us the details.
Well, their lives were very much shaped by the land, by their community. We see occupations listed like butcher and cordwainer. Cordwainer, that's a shoemaker, by the way.
Okay, so we're talking skilled trades.
Exactly. Essential to rural life. Instead of popping down to the supermarket, you'd rely on your local butcher, your local shoemaker.
Those communities had to be pretty self-sufficient. I'm also seeing the document mentions Hexield School. Seems like it played a big role in the lives of the Holford children.
Oh, absolutely. Schools like Heckfield were vital. They weren't just about education. They were the heart of the community, a place for connection, shared purpose.
Even in these small villages, there was this strong sense of community.
Definitely, but rural life had its downsides too, of course. The document hints at the impact of disease outbreaks, which, were a constant threat back then. No modern medicine, no sanitation like we have today.
Makes you shudder to think about it. We're so lucky to have the healthcare we do.
Absolutely. But the Holfords, their story isn't all doom and gloom. It has its share of, well, let's say, intrigue.
Oh, do tell.
It seems James Holford, born in 1781, he was quite a character, shall we say.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The document suggests his first 3 children were born out of wedlock.
Ooh, that would raise some eyebrows back then.
You can bet it would have caused a scandal. Makes you think about the social pressures, the expectations of the time.
Even in seemingly traditional communities, things weren't always so simple.
Exactly. People's lives were often more complex than we might imagine. But it seems James did eventually settle down, married Mary Ann Swanborn, had more children.
It's a bit of a happy ending there.
It shows that life doesn't always follow a straight path. And social norms, well, they don't always dictate individual choices. And speaking of choices, it's interesting to note that some of the Holfords, like the Joneses, ended up in London eventually.
That city must have had a powerful pull.
It did for many. In the Holfords' case, it seems education played a role. 2 brothers, Joseph and James, they likely went to Heckfield School before heading to the city. Maybe they saw education as a way to open doors, to find opportunities that weren't available back in Hampshire.
Even back then, education was a path to a better life.
Absolutely, a way to break free from the limitations of your background.
And once in London, the Holfords adapted, as people do.
We see them becoming bricklayers, plumbers, gas fitters. These were jobs that were in demand, essential to the growing city.
They were witnessing London transform right before their eyes.
And just like the Joneses, the Holfords weren't immune to the impact of war. Frederick Charles Holford, born in 1916, he lived through World War II.
Another generation touched by conflict.
The document mentions his service in the Royal Artillery, a crucial part of the war effort.
I can't even imagine what it was like living through the Blitz.
Those must have been terrifying times. But they endured, they rebuilt their lives. And there's a beautiful twist to the story, connecting the Holford and Jones lines.
You're talking about the marriage of Frederick Charles Holford and Alma Kathleen Jones.
Exactly. These 2 individuals. Descendants of families with such different journeys coming together, creating a new chapter in your family history.
It's a reminder that even when we focus on individual stories, it's the connections between these individuals, the relationships, that truly weave the tapestry of a family history.
Brings it all together, doesn't it? And their experiences, living through World War II, the Blitz, rebuilding afterwards, it just echoes what we've seen with all these families. That resilience, that adaptability, it's remarkable.
It really is, to think about all the history these families witnessed. English Civil War, 2 world wars, so much change. From those quiet villages to the heart of London, it's like a microcosm of English history, all right there in your family tree.
And the thing is, we've only scratched the surface. This deep dive, it's just a starting point. There are so many more stories waiting to be uncovered.
I have to ask, after all this, what resonates with you the most? We've met farmers, shoemakers, soldiers, even a possible criminal. What stories are you going to run and tell your family about?
For me, it's just realizing that history isn't just dates and battles. It's about real people, people who lived and loved, struggled, just like we do.
It's about understanding where we come from, how the choices our ancestors made, their experiences, shaped who we are today. And this is just the beginning. Where will your curiosity take you next? Maybe you'll dig into local archives or explore online genealogy resources. Heck, maybe even visit the places where your ancestors lived and worked.
You never know what you might find. A diary entry, a photograph, a family legend passed down through generations.
It's been an incredible journey. From the countryside to the city, even across to Germany. You've met ancestors who faced war and peace, prosperity and hardship, and through it all, they left their mark on the world. A mark that led to you. So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep uncovering those stories. Happy digging.